A student acts up in class or fails to hand in homework. Most parents would probably agree there should be repercussions for that kind of behavior, but the proper punishment is now the source of debate. According to the American Academy of Pediatrics, recess is vital to childhood development because it promotes communication, problem solving, and coping skills. And yet, according to a Gallup poll, 3/4 of school principals discipline students by withholding recess. My next guest is a teacher who is against taking recess privileges hostage, but she admits she's done it in the past. Jessica Leahy teaches middle school and writes about education and parenting issues for the New York Times and The Atlantic. Welcome back to Greater Boston.
Thank you.
Jessica, so you used to use this punishment.
Absolutely.
As I remember being the Barnacle Boys, remember having it, but now you don't do it. So what changed your mind?
Well, after looking at the research and also reading the the American Academy of Pediatrics policy statement that says recess should never ever be withheld for academic reasons. It's just something that kids really need for their behavioral issues, for their cognitive processing. It's a really important part of their day.
On the other hand, I can remember it being a real punishment because it was something that you always really looked forward to, and it was fun. Mm-hmm. So taking away fun was definitely part of the punishment.
Absolutely, and it seems to work for many teachers for that reason. But the problem is that many of the kids who are having recess taken away are the ones that need it the most. There are studies that show that self-control is a very limited, we have it in very limited quantities, and when we use it up, we need to get out there and do some free play in order to get our stores built up again like a battery.
So, you know, I realize how out of touch I am at this point about recess. We used to go out and make our own, kickball. We all made our own games. What is recess these days?
Well, it really depends. Some places have very organized recesses. Some places have very strict rules about you can't touch this student. If you look at New Zealand right now, they're doing this great thing where they have recess without rules, and they're seeing some fantastic results in schools with decreased bullying and greater self-control in their students. So free play seems to be the best thing, not organizing the kids, letting them have their own time to do what they feel is best for them, and letting them sort of have some time to process what they've learned throughout the day.
That's the way it used to be, but it isn't like that anymore.
No, not usually. And where it's allowed, the problem is there's so many rules about, touching each other, roughhousing, that kind of stuff, that it's difficult for them to be able to get in the groove of whatever it is they want to do.
So are you hearing from parents? Is the school system you work in kind of rethinking this system-wide?
It's been great. I've heard from many teachers since the article ran in the New York Times that they're rethinking about recess. But the other problem is that many teachers are saying, okay, well, give me an alternative.
Yeah, well, what would it be?
Our days
Wrap the knuckles.
I know, and our days are so overscheduled now that there isn't time to do remedial work. There isn't time to deal with the kids that need a little extra help. And so I actually don't have an honest answer of what I think is the best alternative to
I'm sure the dunce cap has gone the way of the dinosaur as well. But what other punishments are there?
Well, there's obviously staying after school, and that gets in the way of activities. They're sending them out into the hallway to work by themselves, and that doesn't seem to work very well either. It's a real balancing act as a teacher, obviously.
Yeah. So what do you do now?
What I do is I keep the kid in the room if it's at all possible. Really, when I see a kid unable to focus, I'm thinking, how am I not engaging this student optimally? And I try to refocus my own work with that particular student and help them get up and move around. Kids really do need to move even in a classroom.
Do kids still get sent to the principal's office?
As a last resort, yeah. Sometimes they do.
I can remember I had this great elastic band contraption going, and I had like 50 elastic bands, and I set that thing flying, and there's somebody with it.
There are a lot of discussions about when we should actually send them out of the room and what that says to them as a student, but that is a last resort.
Yeah. So should this be? I mean, I guess I'm saying, so should there be some kind of a system-wide, a statewide, procedural?
Well, the American Academy of Pediatrics certainly feels that it should be policy that schools do not use recess take away recess as punishment.
Well, who's going to make that rule?
That's a very good question. Schools are going to have to make it individually. So.
All right, Jessica Leahy, thank you very much for your insights on that.
You're very welcome.